how close are you with Mike McDaniel, and how proud are you of the success he's had so far?
Yeah, Mike, I was very fortunate. Mike and I worked together in 2010 without going through the whole history, but I was in his wedding actually when he got married, and I was one of his groomsmen. I was the oldest groomsman for sure, but I was in the wedding, and I think I acted the youngest at the time. It was fun, but yeah, Mike and I grew very close. It was great to get to know him because he was I think he's instrumental in Kyle's and my relationship with Kyle, because I think that in 2011 when he got there, he gravitated to the offensive line room. The story's been told before, and so he listened and learned whatever he had some background in offensive line play and run game, but he and I just learned together, and we worked together closely. And then what would happen in game plan days is that I would sit in my office and I'd be doing the game planning and doing the things for the offensive line, and Kyle would be in his office doing the thing for the passing game. And Mike would take the run list down to Kyle, and then Kyle. So Mike was like a ping pong ball between me and Kyle. And half the time, if Kyle didn't like the ideas I was going down there, he'd yell at Mike for it. Then Mike would come back and say, well, Kyle didn't like. So he kind of saved mine and Kyle's relationship, because we didn't have to argue. Mike was like, I'd yell at him, and well, you go back and tell him, and back and forth like that. And it wasn't that bad, but that's what Mike's role was for us. And he was able to work between the two of us, and then he learned in the process. I loved what Mike did too also in Washington, going back there, was that he would come in on Monday all fired up because he'd been working ahead. He'd been taking off all of the runs of the upcoming week's team and going into non-breakdown games and games that we'd talked about researching. And he'd come in with 20 ideas, and I hadn't even graded the tape from the previous game. I'd say, Mike, just shut up, man. Just give me a minute to rest. And he'd, no, you got to look at this. We got to try this. This is a really cool idea, and so on and so forth. So we forged, a really good relationship at that point. It was professional and it was personal as well, and we've remained good friends. I'm not surprised that he's no. Mike's not. Mike is a very, very talented guy, and it's only a matter of time before guys like that with that much talent get an opportunity.
How pleasing was when you went back and looked at it on film, the last 6-18, when you didn't give the ball back, they knew you were going to run, you ran it anyway. As far as an offensive line coach, that's got to be nirvana.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of our. We didn't give up the sacks, but Jimmy got hit too much on Sunday, and so there was a lot of reasons to be upset. But that last 6-18 wiped it all away from me. You just take that ball, and they kind of know what's coming. Now, and obviously it's not bragging. I never want to come across guys that saying, "Oh, hooray for it!" But it is nice to be able to accomplish something like that. You just don't want your defense to have to go back on the field. You want to be able to ice a game. We call it 4-minute offense. You like to get that ball with 4 minutes left, get a couple first downs, get it to the 2-minute warning, and if they've used their timeouts, you can kneel it out. So the 4-minute offense is a big part of it. To do it with 6 minutes left is really good. I always laughed when I coached in Tampa, and those great defenses in the years in Tampa with Tony Dungy and Monty Kiffin run the defense, and obviously Tomlin and all those guys were there. The classic was that we always would say we started 4-minute offense if we had a 3-point lead. So it might be the middle of the third quarter, second, we'd be running the ball every single down, just running it out, so we knew they weren't going to score on the defense. Brian Billick did that when he was in Baltimore, when he had that great defense here. They won the Super Bowl, man. They'd get a 3-point lead, and it was you're grinding it out. And so it's always fun to be able to do that. Now, it's a lot of satisfaction. In a game where we really hadn't run the ball very well, hadn't protected, it was a battle. It was a grind. It was a tough, hard-fought game between two really physical football teams. And so to be able to do that at the end was pretty cool.
About Jordan Mason in the past, and you said you got to make sure he's ready for the bright lights in the big moment. Did he answer some of those questions at the end?
He did a great job. I mean, I think Kyle mentioned it. The only worry is you put him in there and hold on the football. You've been sitting on the sideline all day, and then all of a sudden you're out there. But, they practice ball security all the time. Coach Turner and Coach Lynn do a great job with that. And I said before, these guys have worked really, really hard. The thing about Mace is, man, he's busted his butt all year long, done a great job, been prepared for an opportunity. When he gets the opportunity, he's making the most of it. So I'm really excited for him, and he did a nice job in that moment. It was nice to be able to get Christian out, have a guy in there that was able to handle it and do the running and pound it out in those last 6 minutes.
I'm sure both him and Davis Price are in the mix this week to get some carries. How does that decision-making process go among you and Anthony and Bobby and Kyle about which young guy gets the most opportunities on offense?
Well, I mean, that's a decision that we're in there talking today, and we're watching the tape, and you see him make a run, and you ask a question, how's this guy doing? How's he seem in the meeting room this week? How's he doing with the game plan? And then it kind of levels itself off. And you say, this guy's running better, this guy's, and so it really is kind of a collaborative effort. We just talk it out, and then during the game, it's like, hey, somebody seems to have a hot hand, or somebody doesn't, he's missed the hole, or he tweaks something on specialty. You just don't know. There's a lot of variables. So we'll just see how it goes, how it plays out.
Chris, the block that Tyler Croft had on Debo's touchdown run against the Cardinals, where he moves around, has a skate technique. How long has that, how long have you coached that, or how long has that kind of been around as far as you know?
I don't know. I hesitate to ever say somebody, especially if I'm around it, invented anything, because it was probably done before for sure. But that technique and whatever was done, I've seen it in various forms and shapes in that play. I remember seeing it back, I don't know when, I think it's when Kubiak was in Houston. I don't know how long they've been doing it, and I don't know if they originated it, but yeah, it's a cool technique. It's a nice way. Teams have done it before, where you start one way, come back the other way, setting up a play. It's a play off a play, and you're trying to give a little, fake, like you're doing one thing and get them to play it, then you come back and do something else. So it's a cool technique. It's a cool play when it works, and so.
It's worked quite a bit.
Yeah, it's been a good play for us, and it's so much of so much of some plays in football are predicated on the look, and sometimes you wait. I remember I think it was that play or a similar play against the Rams a couple years ago. We must have called 3 plays trying to get that play run, but we could only run it against a certain look, and so we kept running these other plays trying to get that play run, and we never did get it run because the look never presented. You're like, we can't keep calling these other plays. We're trying to get that play called, but we need this look, and we're not getting it, so we have to get away from it. So a lot goes into it. It's a cool play. It's a cool technique when it works. It's a good deal.
How would you describe everyone's energy out in the rain today?
That was great. It's sometimes the little change, the cold weather, rain, so I was not doing it every day. It just kind of, it's a little adversity, whatever it is. The guys were great. It was a very energetic practice today. Luckily for us, the fields were in really, really good shape. So even though it had been raining, that's always the concern, is the rain's one thing and dealing with a wet ball and sloppy, but it's the field. And if the field gets unmanageable, then you start worrying about injury and things like that. And, fortunately, we came out of it in pretty good shape. And it was great energy today, really good energy. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it, guys.
Face those teams that put 6 men on the line of scrimmage. It's pretty obvious, I guess, what the challenges are to run against it. But is it possible to sustain success when you're outnumbered like that? Or what are you trying to do? What's your approach?
Yeah, it's still, it's 6 on the line, but it's still an 8-man box or a 7-man box, depending upon what they decide to play coverage-wise. So you just attack it like you attack any other defense, with the techniques, what they present, how they do it. We had it, Chargers, we had it against Arizona. We've had it in numerous games. Even the Saints did it to a degree, sort of a five on the line of scrimmage, different than they've done. But yeah, no, it's every defense presents challenges. You're looking at how you attack the front, how you attack the coverages, how you're going to block support, how it ties in with your passing game, all those things. So it's a little different, but we've still managed to find a way. And as more teams do it too, you see more teams trying different things. Everybody's doing different things, so you find, oh, that's a good idea, and along those lines. So I don't, it's. Every front, over the course of time, every front presents challenges. It could be just a straight 4-down line, a 5-down line, 6-down, whatever it is, pressures, movements. There's just always something that's a challenge every week. And so this week, how the style of defense that they play it very well. And what you mentioned is a challenge.